Woodwing's enterprise system has its roots in the print publishing world, and we certainly did not forget about that when we made version 6. What I am doing right now is I'm in InDesign, and I'm going to say that I'll put on the layout designer's hat, and I need to finish work on a few magazine pages that I have. If I go here to my Smart Connection palette, I can look in my pop-up menu here, basically browsing through the enterprise repository, and I'm going to bring up my monthly layouts. You can see I've got a few pages and spreads that I'm working on. I know that I want to open up the 6 and 7 citizen page, or spread, and that I also want to open up the 18 and 19 pages because that's where I'm going to jump any content that I need. If I go up to Window, Arrange, I'll go ahead and tile vertically. I can get these different pages side by side. I can see over here that page 7 and page 6 are in pretty good shape. You can see I've got a sticky up there at the top that I made inside a content station. What I can do is, I know that I need to, I've got some overflow text over here that I'm going to need to jump. And if I look on pages 18 and 19, you're going to see, oh yeah, I don't really have anything really done for those, so I better get working on it. One of the new features in Enterprise version 6 is the ability to store InDesign libraries inside of the database. So if I go ahead and bring up my libraries search, I've got a monthly Our Globe library that if I double click on will open on my screen. And the thing to note about libraries when they're stored inside of the database is that when you double click on them, they open a copy of themselves on your machine. So right here you can see that this is locked. There is still just one central library that can be managed up at the database, but anytime that anyone just double clicks, it opens a copy of itself. It doesn't allow them to edit it. Therefore you can keep sort of an official library of items that are good to go, that you don't have to worry about your designers having made their own and potentially getting their styles wrong. Now, if they do have permission, they can choose to check out a library. And when they do that, you can see that the lock disappears down here. And now anything inside of the library can be edited, modified, and then saved back up to the database when needed. To check it back in, I just go to this flyout menu and I say check in. It gives me some of this information. I go ahead and click on OK, and then it's locked. So I know, for example, that my jump, I'm going to want to put right here. I know that I have a standalone piece which I need to put over here. I'll go ahead and do that. And then I can just put my library up here. So here we go. This is good for this particular page. I'm not much of a layout designer. Apologize for that, folks. But so I need to jump this article, which is on this document, into this text frame, which is in a completely different document. And in version 6, we now have the capability to do that. I can go to my 6 and 7 citizen layout and then go to Elements and check out this particular article. And then I'll go to this Smart Jump tool. And when I click on it, I click on the first text frame that has overflow. And then I go to the other document with its text frame over here, and I click. And what it will actually do is it will go ahead and take the overflow from this text frame, from this article, and then break it out into its own component in the system, and then lay it out over here inside of this text frame on this document. Now they are still linked together. So if I go ahead and make some editing adjustments here, such as deleting or adding some more text, I can choose to reflow the jump, and at that particular point it will go into the system, grab the either more text if it needs it, or push more text into the other text frame, and then you can get notification in the other document that this particular text frame needs updating. But you'll see that it goes ahead and it creates a continued on element, and it creates a continued from element, and it automatically inserts those page numbers according to text variables that we have available now in version 6. What's also good is you have a lot of options with what we call Smart Jump. Inside of the preferences, you can see when you go ahead and try to break a particular document into two. Do you want to try to break on words, sentences, paragraphs? What does the continued on text say? What does the continued from text say? What is the paragraph style? We've got this thing called the element label so that when it shows up in copy you can see how it's actually labeled. And you can position it whether or not it takes up the full column width or whether or not it's indented, and whether that's within the parent text frame or outside of the parent text frame. And all of these preferences are actually stored per InDesign document. So if you have multiple publications that your layout artists work on, you don't have to create a number of different presets that you're trying to juggle and keep in sync across workstations. It's all stored within the template itself. So I'll go ahead and click on OK. And I'm pretty much done working on this. So I'll go ahead and click Yes. It just wanted me to check in that particular article and then asked me whether or not I wanted to save the page. I can zoom out over here, take a look at what else I need to do. Now, I've got this image here that I need to fill in. What I can do is go to my Smart Connection palette, and I will call up this one pristine image that I had in mind. Luckily enough, I had a search automatically created for it. Imagine that, huh? So I've got Pristine Beach, and Pristine Beach has some XMP metadata that was entered into it in Photoshop. It would be great if, when I actually placed this image inside of my layout, if I could take the information from that XMP metadata and have it automatically appear on the page. Well, that's another new feature of Enterprise 6. We call it Smart Image. If I have this image frame selected, I'll just go ahead and double-click.